Hi everybody, we're back again. Welcome to part 2 or episode 2A. Today's topic is going to be required equipment and suggested equipment, mainly CB radios and handhelds. It's a real simple topic. Your number one selling radio for trucks and pilots, if you have room, it's a fairly large radio, is right here. 29 LTD Classic. It's got everything on it you can need. It talks loud. It can be heard a long distance. They're great radios. They, out of the box, they're ready to go. You don't have to do anything to them. I've used this one here. This came out of my oh boy, this one I used in my since about 1979 I've had this one, and they still make the same exact radio today. The 29 LTD Classic is a number one radio. Now in my rig today I run a Cobra 148, which is this one's big brother. But I talk sideband, I talk 10 meter, I'm a ham operator, KG7, ESJ, Steve out of Canyonville, Oregon. And so, but that is the number one radio if you have room for it. A lot of your Tundras, your Dodge, your pickups, and things like that, you've got a big space there that you can use a radio like this. They are fantastic. 2-wire hookup. A ground and a positive. Mine are pretty well tore up. There's my plug-in on this one. I had to fix a driver's radio one day, so we cut the piece off the rest of it, because it's got a fuse on it and all of that. But I've got extra. Right now I don't use this one. It's one of my backup. I carry at least 4 radios with me in the car, and I carry. Well, usually carry 5 bags or 5 microphones, 4-pen mics that'll fit these, because 90% of the time the radio doesn't go out, the mic does. A wire breaks right in here. So, but the 29 LTD Classic, they run about $109, and they're out of the box, ready to go. Only thing you need to add to them is an antenna, and we'll get into antennas in a little bit. If you don't have a lot of room, if you're running in a small car and you're cramped for space underneath the dash or on the dash, I suggest a Uniden 540, just like this. They're really small. They're about 4.5 inches wide, about an inch and a quarter tall. They're only about 8 inches deep. So they're very small, they're very easy to use, and they are loud. You could take it to a CB shop and have them what's called tune them up. And what that does is it increases the receive and the power output. But it's just standard 2. It's just 2 wires, your positive and your negative to ground. That's it. Most CB shops will install them for you. You can order these on Amazon. You can get them at your local truck stop. Usually both the radios can be found at either place. Amazon has the 29 LTD for $109. They've got this one here, runs $39 to $49. There's a couple of these. There's the Uniden 440. There's the Uniden 540, which is what this one is, and that's just because it has a RF gain on it. The 440 has a volume control, on-off switch, and a squelch, which is what knocks out the background noise, a lot of the hissing and scratching. And you want to turn this to where that just shuts off, and that's where you want to leave it. And it hooks up antennas. All the antenna mounts are exactly the same. Every radio has the exact same antenna hookup. So you don't need to worry about buying a special connectors or anything like that. All the coaxes hook up the same way. Those are the 2 I suggest for running your CB radio. They're great. Good output. They sound good. They listen good. I would suggest getting an external speaker for both of them. And reason being is a lot of times these are mounted right against the dash, or they're right on the floor, and the speaker is on the bottom right there. So it's real hard to hear them at times. There's a plug in the back for external speaker on both of them. In fact, on all CB radios. And then just usually the one I use is 4x4, just a little tiny one, and I've got it up on my dash. That way, it's right at you. You hear it. You can it changes the sounds, and you can hear everything then. Those are, to me, are required items. Another required item is you need to have a handheld radio. This one is a Midland. I forgot the numbers of it. The link will be down below. I believe it's a Midland 82. But they run about $32 a piece. I carry 2 of them with me at all times. They've got a great output of about a mile and a half. A lot of times when the driver, his radio has gone bad or his microphone's gone bad and I don't have a mic that'll fit his, he uses this. It works on 8 AA batteries. So I can turn this on today and sit and talk on it for 4 days solid, 24 hours a day, and the batteries will just be starting to go bad. So they've got long life because usually they're only used for a couple hours, and they use more power when you're talking on them. So, but they'll last forever. You can get plug-in for external charging to plug it into your cigarette lighter and keep it charged. It's got a mic plug-in, so if you wanted to use an over-the-ear microphone like what you use for your cell phone, it'll plug right in there. You can do an external speaker. What I do on this sometimes is I've got a handheld mic, and I'll hook this on my belt, and I'll hook the other mic right here, and I'll just listen through the speaker for there. But I do that when I'm out on the highway directing traffic. But those are, to me, that is required. You have to have a handheld with you as a portable backup, because you are out of the vehicle quite often and you need to talk to your driver or talk to the other pilots or to the police, and to keep in touch with them or DOT or whatever. They all run a certain channel on the radio and you all go to the same channel. One suggestion I would make is get, this is not required, it's a suggestion, but it works great if you're working especially traffic control, and that's a FM walkie-talkie. You can get them at, I'll have the links below for Amazon, but you can get them at Walmart. There's a couple at Walmart I wouldn't get, but you can, I mean, they'll last you. They're okay to use. Or on, but they've got like 10-12 mile range, and they are fantastic for working crowd control or traffic control when you're quite a ways apart or around a corner or whatever, and you've got to stop traffic and or you're down to one lane of traffic and you're wanting to let them through. You have to have those because these have a tendency to break up. The CB radios do. They just don't have enough power. But you get a couple of the little walkie-talkies, or if you can get yourself a Baofeng, Baofeng, either a UR5 or an 8.2, and they run $30-40 a piece. But you can get your FM radios that are 21 channel, which are the same radio, but you can get a pair of them for $35. And that way, if the other pilot or the driver doesn't have one, you can let him use it, and you can both get on the same channels real easy just by going, I'm going to 21, go to 21, and you're there. But those are the main ones I would suggest getting. I'll have all the links below for the radios. Now for antennas, it's really up to you. I would not get anything less than a 3-foot antenna. If you're going to be putting it on your pickup, on your mirrors, out on your hood, or on your bed, I would say nothing less than a 4. Just because you lose a ground plane, and what the ground plane is, it's the area around your antenna that is used to send out your signal. It's bouncing is basically what it is. If you're in your 4-wheeler, magnetic mount, put it right in the middle of your rooftop, right above your head. That way it's got a full range, 30 inches all the way around of ground plane. And get your one about 3 foot long, and you're good to go. They run about, I think for that one is $14.99 here on Amazon. You can get them on eBay, Craigslist. Look on Craigslist. Great used buys out there, right in your local area. It doesn't have to be new. Just make sure your coax cable is good on it, or be able to change it. A lot of your magnetic mount antennas, you cannot change the coax, so you either have to take it to a shop, to a CB shop, and have them rewire a coax into it, which is going to cost you more than a brand new one anyway. So be careful buying used. You can do it. I've got a few that I've bought over the years that last a little while, and they work. But if you've got a local truck stop, a lot of times they're a little more expendy, but you can just walk in, buy them right off the shelf. So go to your local CB shop. They'll usually have good sales on them. The guys there can tell you what would be good for your car and how much you want to spend. Tell them you've got a $25 or $30 budget, and they'll do their best to set you up with something. You can get, I run Fire Sticks or Francis's in mine, 4 foot. 5 foot on mine, I run a minivan, and I'm all the way up on top. And so I'm sticking up there in the air quite a ways. But a 4 foot antenna, I can pull into a drive-through at a restaurant when we're in a big hurry, and I can go through their drive-through without touching. I'm missing it by just barely. If you get a 5 footer and it's on a tall rig, you might want to get it's a 4-inch spring that goes. It's a antenna mount spring. You might want to go with one of those. That way, when you hit something, it'll bounce. It won't break anything. But go with a 4, or if you're in a car, go with nothing less than a 3. I see some of the guys out there with these little 18-inch antennas on top of their car, and it's like, I don't know what's wrong. He gets behind me by about a mile, and I can't hear nothing, and he can't hear me. Well, you're not getting out. That little antenna doesn't have the wavelength possibilities or output. So if he went to a 2 footer, it might help. But I would say go with a 3 footer or a 4. Unless you're really into CB radios, a 108-inch whip, and then you'll hit everything there is. So, but it's really up to you. But I would suggest nothing less than 3 foot, and nothing more than a 5 if you're in a big truck and you're doing mirror mounts. They're huge. 5 foot doesn't sound like a lot. I'm only 5'5", and they can, but when you're talking above your vehicle and you're hitting every little sign, whatever, coming by. I was running a 5 foot on mine with a spring, and I hit every overpass, or not overpass, but every drive-through, signs, even some wires that we were climbing underneath, because I was up almost 10.5 feet then from the top of my van to where, because I had mine mounted on my rack for my sign, so I was a good 6 inches above the top of my van, and then the 5 foot from there. So I was 10 feet in the air plus, and on some of the little 2-lane back roads, I was hitting almost every wire that came around. So I went down to a 4. I left my spring mount on, and now I don't hit anything. So it all works. But those are really the main things you need. You need a good CB radio. You need a backup radio. And the backup radio is for you in case yours goes out, or in case the drivers of the truck, his goes out, or the other pilot, and his goes out and he doesn't have one. You need at least one handheld. Better to carry 2. And then I would suggest buying 1 or 2, and these are just suggestions to have them on hand. Buy 1 or 2 of these handheld microphones, or just the microphone itself. They unscrew from the front of the radio, and right there, that's all you need. Get a couple of these. They run $10-12 a piece. Keep them in your truck, keep them in your vehicle. If his microphone goes out, sell it to him for $15. Get your money back. Because he has to have a radio in his vehicle working. If he gets caught and it don't work, that's why I give him my handheld first. Because we pulled into a port of entry or set of scales, and he's looked at, and we had that happen here just not too long ago down at Shasta Scales in Northern California, that the driver walked in. He got called in for a quick inspection, and the officer saw that he had an empty hole where the CB radio was. So he ended up having to say, well, where's your CB radio? And the guy says, I'm using, the pilot car operator gave me the handheld. So we got out of it. The guy said that his radio was at the shop, and that the shop didn't get it done before he had to leave. So we got away with it because he had this in hand. So we were allowed to leave. But there's one other item that is suggested, and that's called a mic hanger. And I'll try to get a picture of it. Mine's in my car, and I'll show that to you one of these days. But what it does, I have it hooked on the little tiny bar that's for the passenger side visor, and it hangs down. You put your mic on the end of it, and it's a retractable, so you can grab onto it, pull on it, talk on the mic, set it back away, and it's right there. You don't have to search for it down at your belt. You don't have to hook it like on this radio here. It's got a mic hanger on the side. Okay, that can get to be a pain, especially when you're in a hurry to grab the mic. So the mic hangs right up here like this. You grab it, you talk, and you can just let it go. And they run about $19, but it will say it makes using it so much easier. And just hang it from the little hook for your auto visor on your passenger side. If it's on your driver's side, it's going to hang too low, and you're going to catch it every time you turn your wheel. So keep it over here. It's out of your way. It swings on its own. You get used to it, and it keeps everything nicely hung up and within real quick range to grab it. And that's just a suggestion. It's not a requirement. A lot of people just throw them in the passenger seat, and then they try to reach down and grab it when they need it, or they lay it across their leg and grab it that way. To me, it's just so much nicer right there. It makes it so much easier to grab and talk. But some of these were just suggestions, but the required items: CB radio, backup CB radio, and a handheld. And then the other things is just your antenna. Like I said, a Fire Stick runs about $11. The coax runs about $10. Or you can buy them in packages for $15 to $18 for a 3-footer. But it is necessary. It is needed. You can get magnetic mounted antennas with a 3-foot whip on it, wire whip. You can get those for about $14. But check, I'll have the listings below. I'll have the links for Amazon anyway, and to a couple places that I know that I buy from and I order from quite a bit. But as far for now, that's it. Stay tuned for the next episode, which is going to be in a high pole pilot car. And we'll get into more of the required items, your cones, your vest, your jacket, like what I wear, hard hat. Be real simple on the next one. But we'll see you at the next episode. Have a good day. Bye-bye.